Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advance. This game was played in the FIDE Swiss 2025 with the black pieces. We have Praggnanandhaa, a very strong grandmaster. It's been his year. He's winning tournaments left and right, and now he's playing the FIDE Swiss. Let's see what happens and what he does. He's in the top of the board in FIDE circuit points, and I think he's going to qualify to the candidates from there only. And let's see how what he's able to manage against with the white pieces. He has Matthias Bluebaum. He's been playing spectacular chess at FIDE Swiss as well. Let's see what happens here. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Pragg here, just Matthias starts with d4. We have e6 by Pragg. He goes for the Horwitz defense. We have c4, knight, bishop to b4 check, and now just going for this knight to c3. Bishop captures, b captures, and now just finally going for f5. But an immediate response by Matthias. He goes for e4. F captures, queen to g4 now by Pragg. Queen to g4 now by Matthias, and just queen to e7, queen captures, knight captures, and just queen back to c2. We have b6 now, just trying to fiend to that bishop because you won't be able to develop it anyhow here either way. So here just knight to f3, bishop to b7, bishop to e2, and just d6. Now castles, knight pd7, and just bishop to e3. So you've gotten a little bit of development here, and you're still waiting for castles, and you'll have the open file to attack with the bishop pair eyeing here. Pragg thinks his chances are absolutely amazing, and let's see how he's able to conjure up something here. Just castles by Pragg, knight to d2, e5, and just rook a to e1. We have king to h8, a nice prophylactic move, always useful. Once your opponent has the light squared bishop, always go for this before any attack. Here just bishop to d1, rook a to e8, and just f4, just pushing it all the way. And it seems like you have a very weird structure. Your bishop is basically in a diamond kind of structure with the pawns, and now just these rooks are eyeing. Your queen is not on a decent square because it's against the shadow of the rook. So what do you do in this position? E captures was played by Pragg, and this is the best move in this position. And the trouble with a move like bishop captures here is that yes, it looks very nice if you go for two rooks for the queen, but the problem is you don't have sufficient compensation. Let's say you're taking 2f to rook f to e8 to double up on the e file, but after knight to f3 your rook is attacked, you have to move it, and with these pieces and the queen you will get outplayed. And that's what Pragg realized, and definitely not a good move to play. So here after e captures he played after rook captures was played, he just goes for queen to f7, just getting away from that bishop because there could be some discoveries. And now just the rook back, we have rook to e7 and just rook queen to d3, rook f to e8, bishop to f2, and now finally just trading rook captures, and bishop captures, and we get this endgame where here white does have the bishop pair, you have the knight pair and the bishop. And let's see what happens, because these light squares pawns are very weak, and you have a light square bishop, so you might be able to just win them and try to push for a win. And the thing with a move like queen to g6 is that with the bishop pair it's going to be very much difficult. Now if you trade queens, you have a double pawn structure, you have 2 pawn islands, and where on the other hand white has 3 pawn islands. So endgame feels like you're better, and that's why you're pushing here. And Pragg, we know Pragg, he grinds every endgame like he wants to win it. He's not going to be able to backing down anytime soon. He wants to win these games. He has been playing spectacular chess from the Singfield Cup, beating all these players, and it's not even about beating all these players, it's the mindset that he has. He grinds every game. No one grinds like Pragg, and no one has been grinding like Pragg since this year, and he's been crushing everyone. So that's the thing that he has been trying, and that's the secret to his success. This is the secret sauce that he's been trying and holding back, just crushing and grinding every game to try and get a win. And that's why these genius prodigies, I've been telling for years that they are so successful, because they grind every game to try and go for a win. And if you go for a bishop captures, you go for a drawish line. That's why Pragg doesn't like it. He plays knight to f8, just trying to remaneuver the knight, get the knight to g6. Your king would be very secure there. So here queen to e3, knight to g6, and your position is absolutely fine. You're eyeing these weak pawns, and somewhere around the line you're going to try and attack them and maybe win one or two of them. It's just bishop to g3, but now just queen to d7, now just h3, but now comes queen to f5. You never have to worry about any back rank issues because knight is doing a fantastic job at defending everything. And here we have d5, finally just closing up this bishop. You have to get the bishop out of there somewhere, so just bishop to a6, trying to go for this pawn, but now just a3, king to g8, bishop to e2, and now just going for this knight to e5. But knight to e5 is the thing that now you could actually go for the bishop captures, and that is exactly what was played. If you go for queen captures, again it's the same idea that with this is most likely going to be ending in a draw. Even if you have a pass pawn, it's not going to matter because the king can get into the game, and your king is not that good here in this position. And even if you try, you're not going to be able to get the win. Even if you try this, it's not going to work out. So here after bishop captures we have d captures, now just finally creating that pass pawn. But hey, just knight to f3, queen to e4, and queen captures, knight captures, knight caps on e5, and hey, just knight caps on c3. So you've managed to exchange a lot of pawns, but still the structure is very weird, because now there's 3 pawn islands and 2 pawn islands. I told you that before. It's just bishop to d3, and now just b5, trying to push and go for a win. c5 now, and you have to be a little bit careful. Pragg was down on time. Both players are playing on minutes here, basically. Knight caps on d5, knight to c6, and bishop to b7. Now you're attacking the knight, and now just knight caps on a7. So it's 2 against 2, and most likely this could end in a draw, but Pragg is still grinding. He is not the one to actually let go of this position, because he thought that he was better, and he was actually better, but he wants to win this game. He wants to push for a win. He doesn't care what his opponents think. He doesn't care even what the engine thinks. He wants to actually grind this game to a place where his opponent will be down on time. He's just 4 minutes on the clock. If he goes further in the end game, he wants to grind this out to a win, because he's been getting too many draws now in this tournament, and with the time control that you have, you want to be able to actually grind the end games to be able to have a win. So in this position, he went for c6, but c6 is an absolute blunder. What you want to do is you want to play knight to f4, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn, and once bishop caps on b5, you play bishop caps on g2, h4, and now just getting the king into the game, king to f2. Most likely this would have resulted in the end game where it would be a draw even after this pawn pushes. And even if you are able to manage to get the pawn to queen, I think I would gladly just sacrifice the bishop and just get one of those 2 pawns. With having 1 pawn and a knight somewhere along the line, I can just just trade the knight for the pawn, and most likely it will result in a place where I would be able to stop the checkmate and I would be able to go for a draw. But after this knight caps on a7, c6 was played, and c6 is actually a blunder, because now bishop to e4, and now the trouble is mounting on for you here. Knight to c3, but just bishop captures. Now you cannot even save that pawn. Now you have not actually grabbed that pawn, and it's not going to be a draw. Bishop caps on c6, bishop captures, king to f7, and he still tries to push for something here, but just knight to d4, king to f6. Now just c6, king to e7. It's very difficult to try and go for a draw here, because now there are 2 pawns. King get into the game. If you king decides to go all the way over here, this king is going to come on and try and gobble up these pawns, and it's going to be very much difficult then. So he plays king to d6, trying to still keep the flow, but king to f3, g6, and here h4 was played, but now just comes this h6, king to g4, and knight to d5, but knight caps on b5 was played. Finally just grabbing that pawn, king caps on c6, knight to d4 check, king to c5, and knight to c2. So how do you even gobble up this pawn? It's going to be very much difficult, because knight is going to be protecting it, and it's going to be a long grind. But the thing is that it's very difficult to do anything in this position. King to c4 was played, but now just comes king to f3, king to b3, now knight to e3, knight to f6, knight to g4. If you trade, you're just dead lost here. I mean, just that you push, just go here and just gobble up all those pawns, and it's very easy. Knight to g8, king to e4, and king caps on a3, king to e5, h5, and now just even sacrificing an entire knight. This is just absolutely crazy, because that knight doesn't have as many squares to go to. And now just comes this h caps on g4, but just king to f7. It was on this move, on just move 55, that Pragg resigned the game, and he did it for a very nice reason as well, because there's nothing you can do. If you try to get the king into the game, I mean, there is no way you can actually try and get the knight out of all the trouble. And the problem is that the pawns are pushing, and there is nothing you can do in this position, no matter what you do. But yeah, if you try to get the king into the game, you're unfortunately 2 tempos short, because I'm just going to be gobbling up these pawns and pushing those pawns all the way, and it's going to be a very, very easy victory. Pragg realizes that, and he actually just goes for it. But unfortunately, the thing is that he went and he pushed for a win when it was easy for him to get a draw. And that's the thing with these genius prodigies. They are trying to go for a win in every scenarios, and that's why they are so successful, and that's why Pragg is going to reach. That's why he's India's #1. He's there for a reason, because he's been playing spectacular chess, and not only that, he's been grinding every game, trying to reach the very top, and that's what differentiates him between any other player. And doesn't matter the result, he loses today, and but he will be able to come back again very, very strong, and he's going to be able to win in the next rounds, and going to make a really strong comeback, because at the end of the day, he's still that person with the mindset of actually grinding every game, trying to go for a win. That aggressive player, that positional masterpiece he created, and all the games that he has won against Boris Gelfand and all the other players were absolutely spectacular. And really doesn't matter, I mean, if the result doesn't go your way, it's the mindset that these players have that's going to make them successful, that's going to make them amazing prodigies, that makes them India #1, and that also makes them, and they bring glory to India, because they play like this, and they will definitely make India proud. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.